I walked into a coffee shop and overheard my wife bragging about her exit plan. She didn't see me, but I heard everything. That night, I let her pack. She just didn't know it was for her own apartment. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. I wasn't supposed to be there. Not at that coffee shop. Not at that time. Not standing in line with my phone dead and my brain fried from work, waiting for a double espresso that I didn't even really want. I was supposed to be halfway home, stuck in traffic, listening to some podcast I wouldn't remember tomorrow. But I'd forgotten to pick up a document my coworker had left behind earlier that day, and the cafe next to our office just happened to still be open. I figured I'd grab a coffee while printing it. Kill two birds. Nothing dramatic. What I didn't expect was to walk into that little coffee shop and hear my wife, laughing about how she was going to leave me. She didn't see me. That's the part that still messes with my head. She was sitting near the corner, by the tall window, chatting with her best friend Kelsey like she didn't have a care in the world. I froze when I saw her. My first instinct was to go say hi, maybe surprise her. But then I heard my name. Yeah, Jason still thinks we're solid. It's hilarious. He's so trusting, it's almost cute. I didn't move. Just stood there, my hand still hovering over my wallet, halfway ready to pay. Kelsey asked something I couldn't hear, and then my wife leaned in and said, "I'm giving it 3 more weeks. Just long enough to finalize the transfers. After that, I'm out. I already talked to Nate. He's ready whenever I am." Transfers? Nate? She sipped her drink and kept going like it was just girl talk. He has no idea I've been funneling money into the Florida account, the one under my maiden name. When I leave, he'll have nothing to fight me with. My jaw went slack. Not because of the betrayal. That would come later. It was the ease in her voice. The pure confidence. She wasn't worried. Wasn't second-guessing. This wasn't a woman caught in a complicated emotional bind. She had a plan. "I've been his little support wife for 5 years," she said. "Now I'm cashing out. Think of it like a severance package." Kelsey giggled like it was the funniest thing in the world. My wife smiled, proud of herself, then added, "You should have seen him last night. He offered to plan a weekend getaway. Said he wanted to reconnect." I almost lost it trying not to laugh. That's when I took a step back. Didn't order my coffee. Didn't grab the document. Just turned around and walked out. I don't even remember if the bell over the door rang. The drive home was a blur. I sat in the garage for 15 minutes before walking in like nothing happened. She was already there, curled up on the couch with a throw blanket and a glass of wine. She looked up, smiled, and asked how my day was. I said, "Long," and kissed her on the forehead. The part that kills me? She looked genuinely relaxed, like a woman who just spent the afternoon building her future without me in it. That night, while she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling and listened to her breathing. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Not because I was unsure, but because something in me snapped into place. Like a quiet little voice saying, "Don't react. Prepare." She had a plan. Well, now so did I. The next morning, I made her coffee. She kissed me on the cheek and said I was the best. I smiled, told her to have a good day, and watched her drive off like she wasn't plotting to vanish with half my life. I'll admit, part of me still hoped I'd misunderstood, that I'd misheard, that maybe it wasn't what it sounded like. But that hope evaporated the moment I opened the laptop. See, a few months ago, I helped set up her new MacBook, synced it with her iCloud account, helped her save passwords, set up automatic backups. You know, the kind of thing a trusting husband does. Turns out she never logged out of anything. Not her email, not her notes app, not her shared Google Drive, and definitely not the second bank account she opened under her maiden name. I sat there in the dim light of my home office, scrolling through emails that didn't sound like the woman I married. Messages to some guy named Nate with subject lines like, "Countdown's almost over, winky face. Final doc signed. We're set." He has no clue. LMAO. They'd been talking for over a year. Apparently, they'd dated back in college. She broke it off when he moved states, but after his recent divorce, he found her on Instagram. The reconnection was fast. Too fast. In one thread, she literally broke down our shared finances to him in bullet points, like she was giving him a cheat sheet on how to dismantle me. 401k, fully vested. Joint account, slow transfers, under $3,000 each to avoid flags. Business stake. He won't suspect until it's too late. My hands were shaking. This wasn't just cheating. This was a heist. She wasn't leaving me because she was in love. She was leaving because she thought she'd won. Like I was a phase to move past. A stepping stone. A fool. And the worst part? She was confident I'd just roll over. I called my best friend Mason that night. Told him everything. We'd been friends since college, and I'd helped him launch his accounting firm 3 years ago. He's the guy who knows money trails better than anyone I know. He didn't say a word for the first 10 minutes of me rambling, then finally said, "You want to hurt her? Or bury her?" "Not physically," I said. "Just make sure when she walks, she's not carrying my spine." "Cool," he said. "Give me a week." What followed was the most exhausting, emotionally twisted week of my life. While pretending nothing was wrong at home, I worked with Mason behind the scenes. He pulled all transaction records, traced every quiet transfer she made, flagged every payment to that Florida account. She'd stolen close to $38,000 already. Slowly, quietly, over 9 months. She'd rerouted bonuses from my business to her own LLC, one I didn't even know she registered. It was a shell, just a name and a number, set up in Florida, tied to Nate's cousin. There was no exit plan. It was a financial hit job. I kept playing my role. I still did the dishes, still walked the dog, still offered her my jacket when it got chilly. But at night, I moved through the house like a ghost, gathering documents, taking photos of everything, noting the timestamps, creating a paper trail. I even planted an AirTag in her tote bag, not to stalk her, but to confirm one thing. She had been spending most of her afternoons near Nate's apartment, but not at his place. The tracker kept pinging at a hotel nearby. Room 314. Same every time. I booked the room next to it the following Wednesday. Brought a portable mic and my phone. Didn't go in. Just recorded through the wall. The walls were thin. They talked about what day she'd dropped the bomb. She said, "Once I make him believe it was his idea to separate, he won't contest a thing. He's too passive. He'll just let me walk." That was the moment something flipped in me. Passive? Nah. I was patient. And patience lets you build something much colder than rage ever could. They say revenge is best served cold. But I wasn't after revenge. Not really. I just wanted her to know that she hadn't married a fool. And if she wanted an exit, fine. She could have it. But not with my money. Not with my dignity. Not with the story she thought she'd control. By now, I had copies of everything. Bank transfers, emails, phone records, even the audio from that hotel room. I didn't plan to use it yet, but I kept it all neatly backed up. USB, cloud, external drive. You name it. The game began quietly. Step 1. I contacted my lawyer. Told him everything. He had helped me structure my business years ago and had been part of my inner circle ever since. I trusted him. Together, we started separating my assets, legally and silently. I'd founded a small but growing consulting firm, and I'd made the mistake of giving my wife admin access to certain accounts. She couldn't control anything directly, but she could see more than she should have. That was the first thing we fixed. I transferred ownership of the company to a new holding trust under a different name, created after hours through a separate legal entity. She wouldn't even know it existed unless she was watching court filings, which she wasn't. I removed her access to business accounts, citing a potential data breach that we were investigating. She didn't even blink. She was too distracted planning her exit plan. Step 2. I closed our joint credit cards. Not suddenly. I reported them as potentially compromised. Got replacements sent to my name only. She wouldn't know until she tried to use them. In parallel, I opened a new bank account in another state, moved all direct deposits there, and slowly drained the joint account. Just like she had done, only faster. Step 3. I hired a private investigator. Yeah, that part stung. Because hiring a PI on your own wife, that's not something you do unless the trust is gone. And it was. He confirmed what I already knew. She wasn't just cheating. She was investing in her future with Nate. Their little Florida fantasy wasn't a dream. They'd signed a lease under her name. First payment made from our joint account. The part that burned? It had my birthday as the move-in date. She was planning to move in with her new boyfriend on my birthday. The sheer calculation behind that was chilling. Step 4. I started packing. Not openly. Just little things. My childhood baseball glove, the watch my grandfather gave me, my backup hard drives, business records, and legal docs. I'd move them to a rented storage unit during my late nights at work. She didn't notice. Or maybe she didn't care. Every night, she was either on her phone texting or too tired to talk. She still smiled. Still kissed me goodnight. Still played the part. I did too. Only now I was sharper. Watching everything. Logging every move. And then came step 5. I planted a false trail. I started dropping hints that I was having doubts about our marriage. Told her I was burned out. I needed space. I might take a trip alone, just to think. She lit up. Tried to act concerned, of course, but I could see the gears turning behind her eyes. She thought she'd manipulated me into her breakup script, that I was falling right into place. In her mind, it would be my idea to separate. Her hands would stay clean. She'd walk away with half and claim I was the one who quit. But she had no idea that I was already talking to a divorce attorney. No clue that everything she'd touched financially was traceable. No idea I had bank records showing her stealing money. Hotel audio of her calling me weak. Screenshots of her planning a full-blown life shift behind my back. And most importantly, she didn't know I'd been at the coffee shop that day. She didn't know I'd heard everything. Her birthday was on a Saturday. She told me she didn't want anything big, just a dinner with close friends and maybe a few cocktails at the house afterward. I played along. I offered to handle the dinner. Made a reservation at one of her favorite rooftop restaurants downtown, the kind of place that charges extra if you want ice in your drink. She acted surprised, flattered, said, "You didn't have to do all this." Of course I didn't. But this dinner wasn't for her. It was for the curtain drop, and everyone she'd ever lied to was about to have front row seats. I invited all the usual suspects, her friends, her coworkers, her family, even her parents. They adored me, thought we were the perfect team, the kind of couple that takes cooking classes together and posts matching vacation photos. She didn't know I also extended the invitation to someone else, my lawyer. He wouldn't come as a guest. He'd come as the guy holding an envelope, neatly sealed, addressed to her. Inside, a copy of the divorce papers, bank statements showing her financial transfers, screenshots of her emails with Nate, and a one-paragraph note in my handwriting. You said I'd never see it coming, but I heard everything. And now so will they. The restaurant was perfect. Open layout, exposed brick, candles on the tables, music just low enough that you could hear the clink of glasses and polite laughter. She wore a black dress. I wore a calm expression. Dinner started normally. Toasts, small talk, a few awkward jokes about getting older. Her parents gave her a silver bracelet. I gave her a gift box with a bottle of perfume and a handwritten love letter I'd scrawled out the night before. In it, I thanked her for teaching me how to stop being blind. She didn't get it. Not yet. Then came the cake. That's when I gave the nod to my lawyer, who was seated at the bar. He stood up, walked over casually like he was just delivering a birthday card, and placed the envelope in front of her. She looked at it, confused. Read the label. Opened it. I will never forget the exact second her expression cracked. Her smile didn't just vanish, it shattered. She pulled out the first page, then the second, then the photo of Nate and her outside the hotel, time-stamped. Someone said, "What is that?" Her mom leaned in to look, and my wife, my now soon-to-be ex-wife, snapped the envelope shut and tried to play it off like it was a mistake. But the damage was done. Her dad reached across the table and asked, "What the hell is going on?" She whispered, "It's private." He didn't blink. "Not anymore, it isn't." People started whispering. The word divorce made it to the end of the table before she even stood up. Then she did the one thing I didn't expect. She turned to me, furious, and hissed, "You planned this? On my birthday?" I leaned in, smiled. "You planned to move in with him on mine." That shut her up. For about 5 seconds. Then she exploded, said I was vindictive, manipulative, unhinged. Said I could have talked to her like an adult. That part actually made me laugh. Because what kind of adult drains their spouse's account behind their back while planning to run off with an unemployed ex? A few people tried to defuse the moment. Her friend Kelsey got up and tried to lead her to the bathroom. But it was too late. I stood, thanked everyone for coming, apologized for the unplanned entertainment, and handed my keys to the valet. Before I left, I looked back just once and saw her still holding the envelope, her hands trembling. Her dad sitting 2 seats away, arms crossed, jaw clenched. Happy birthday. By Sunday morning, my phone had 43 missed calls. 38 from her, 5 from Kelsey, 0 from anyone I cared about. I ignored every single one. Instead, I sat on my porch with a cup of coffee and a quiet mind for the first time in weeks. The sky looked different that morning, like it had finally stopped holding its breath. By noon, I got a message from her dad. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry." Later that day, he followed up with a longer message. Said he didn't raise her to be like this. That he had no idea. That the things she said, the things she did, it felt like someone else entirely. Said he was ashamed. I didn't respond. What was there to say? Meanwhile, my wife. She was unraveling. She showed up at the house around 4 p.m., the same house she had planned to leave me with nothing from. Her makeup was smudged, her hair was a mess, and she looked like someone who hadn't slept since the cake. I didn't let her in. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and leaned against the frame. "Jason, please," she started. "Can we just talk like 2 normal people?" I raised an eyebrow. "You mean like when you and Nate were planning my financial murder behind my back?" She blinked. "It wasn't like that." I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and played the recording. Her voice came through clearly. "Once I make him believe it was his idea to separate, he won't contest a thing. He's too passive." I paused the audio. "Still want to talk like normal people?" She had no response. Just stood there in silence, clutching her jacket. Then she tried again. "I messed up," she whispered. "I got carried away. But Nate, he pressured me into a lot of this. I didn't think you'd find out." That much was obvious. She stepped forward like she was going to reach for my hand. I stepped back. I don't hate you, I said, but I don't trust you, and I never will again. You're really doing this? She asked, voice cracking. I pointed toward the driveway. You should go. Your lawyer will have everything you need by Tuesday. She stood there for a second too long, then turned and walked to her car. I waited until she was gone before going back inside. Now here's where the next twist came in, because it turns out, Nate, he had his own little exit plan. By Wednesday, I got a message from a burner account. Screenshots. Emails. Apparently, once he found out I'd frozen the joint assets and protected the business through my holding company, he flipped. Dumped her. Claimed he didn't sign up to be her husband's collateral damage. Said he'd only gotten involved because she told him I was abusive, controlling, and emotionally distant. The PI I'd hired earlier? I asked him to do one final sweep. Turns out Nate had been using her for a place to stay and thought he'd be sitting on a six-figure safety net by the time she left me. But when the money dried up, so did his interest. She tried to message me again that week. Tried everything from apologies to threats. At one point, she even wrote, "You're the only person who's ever really known me." That might have been true, but that didn't mean she was worth knowing. The divorce finalized in under 90 days. Faster than I thought possible. Turns out, having a mountain of evidence, and a spouse too embarrassed to go public, makes things move real quick. She didn't fight me. How could she? Her fake LLC? Shut down. The Florida account? Frozen. The hotel receipts, the audio recordings, the Venmo transfers, the shell lease with Nate? All submitted. My lawyer barely had to raise his voice. She tried negotiating at first, asked if we could mediate privately, said she didn't want things to get ugly. But by then, the damage was done. Not by me, but by her. She had painted herself into a corner so perfectly I didn't even need to press. I got the house. I kept the business. I even kept the dog, who, let's be honest, liked me way more than he ever liked her. She walked away with her name. That's it. The part that should have hurt the most? It didn't. Because what hurt already happened at that coffee shop. Everything after that was recovery. I'd been sleeping in a guest room for the last few weeks of our marriage. Quiet, calculated separation inside the same house. Once the papers were signed, I moved into a loft downtown. Small, clean, quiet. Nobody screaming into a phone in the other room. No secrets being whispered behind closed doors. Just silence. And a bed I could actually sleep in. And the best part? I took the vacation we'd always talked about. The one she always said we'd get around to someday. Greece. Booked it solo. Ate dinner on rooftops. Walked the coastline at sunset. Nobody asked me for passwords, favors, or just one more thing before they vanished into their phone again. One morning in Santorini, I got a text from Kelsey, her best friend. Just a single line. "She's been asking about you." I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. Because I wanted her to see me smiling. Living. Thriving. Without her. Let her wonder what went wrong. Let her replay that birthday night over and over. Let her explain to her next boyfriend why she can't quite celebrate her birthday anymore without flinching. I know people want dramatic endings. Explosions. Chaos. Courtroom screams. But sometimes the most powerful ending is this. You walk away, and they don't get to follow. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.